Good morning, my dear friend. This quiet morning belongs to you and to the one who woke you up. Outside, the world is still half asleep. The sky is only beginning to pale, and the first light of dawn is gently touching the edges of the horizon. It is that tender hour when the noise has not yet risen, when phones are still silent and streets are still calm, when the air itself seems to hold its breath in this soft space between night and day. Your heart has been stirred, not by accident, but by a gentle invitation. Maybe you did not sleep well. Maybe you opened your eyes long before your alarm and stared at the ceiling, feeling the weight of something you cannot fully name. For some, it is the ache of grief, the empty side of the bed after someone has gone. For others, it is the dull fear of bills piling up or the silent tension in a home that no longer feels safe. Perhaps your mind keeps replaying the same conversation, the same mistake, the same loss, and you wonder if anything will ever really change. You might look strong on the outside, but inside there are places that feel cracked and fragile. You smile when people ask how you are, yet there are questions you have never dared to say out loud. Why did this happen to me? How much longer will this season last? Where is hope when the day ahead looks just like yesterday? In moments like this, it can feel easier to scroll, to distract yourself, to push the pain down for one more day. But this morning is different. In the hush of this early hour, there is another option. Instead of running from what hurts, you are being invited to bring it into the light. Not the harsh light of judgment, but the gentle light of a God who already knows every tear and every thought. Faith does not pretend that pain is not real. Faith walks into the middle of the pain and says, I will not face this alone. Prayer is not a performance for the perfect. Prayer is a conversation for the honest, the weary, the confused, and the hopeful all at once. When you choose to speak to God at the break of day, you are doing something powerful. You are opening the door of your heart to the one who can step into your fear, your sorrow, your uncertainty, and begin a work of quiet transformation from the inside out. So in this sacred slice of morning, you are invited to pause, to breathe, and to lean in. You do not have to have the right words. You do not have to clean yourself up first. You only need a willing heart and a simple yes. Let this be the moment you stop carrying everything alone. Let this be the moment you allow your soul to be heard and held as the light of dawn slowly grows stronger. May your heart open to a deeper conversation with God, one that will walk with you through this day and every day to come. You are not here by mistake. You are here because deep inside, you are still hoping there is more than what you have seen, that there is a love strong enough to carry you, and a peace deep enough to steady your heart now. Dear Heavenly Father, in the stillness of this early hour, when the world is only beginning to stir, my soul turns toward you. I come not with perfect words, but with a trembling heart that longs to feel your nearness again. I have carried so many thoughts through the night, the kind that refuse to rest, whispering doubts and memories that weigh too heavy to name. Yet now, as the first light brushes across the horizon, I sense your quiet invitation, a call not to run, but to be still and remember that I am yours. You see the things no one else sees. The weariness behind my smile, the fears that visit in silence. I have tried to be strong for too long, pretending I can manage every burden alone. But you know the truth, and in your presence, I no longer need to pretend. I lay down my defenses, my plans, and my pride, and I breathe in the peace that comes from simply being known. I do not ask you to remove the storms around me, only to teach my heart to rest within them, knowing you are near even when I cannot see the way ahead. The night has often felt endless, but morning always comes. The darkness I feared has given birth to this light, and in that light, I find a whisper of hope. You are the author of beginnings, the one who turns sighs into songs and ashes into beauty. I do not yet see what you are writing, but I choose to believe that your hand is steady, that every line of this story has purpose. Where my understanding ends, your mercy begins, and that mercy is new with every sunrise. You have called me to awaken, not just from sleep, but from sorrow, from fear, from the endless cycle of striving. You remind me that grace is not earned but given, that peace is not the absence of pain, but the presence of your love. So I open my heart again. Let the light of this morning enter the corners I have kept hidden, the parts still haunted by yesterday. Wash me clean of resentment, of doubt, of the noise that keeps me from hearing your voice. I lift my eyes to the dawn, to the promise that even in my weakness, you are strong. I do not have to climb to reach you. You have already descended into the depth of my humanity to meet me here. You walk among the tired and the broken, the searching and the scarred, and you call each one beloved. Remind me, O Lord, that I am not defined by what I have lost, nor by the mistakes that echo in my memory, but by the love that has never once let me go. Let this morning become more than another beginning. Let it be a quiet turning of the soul toward trust. Teach me to notice the simple miracles, the breath I take, the warmth of the light, the chance to begin again. I surrender the heavy things I cannot change and welcome the peace that only you can give. May my thoughts align with truth, my heart with gratitude, and my steps with grace. As the world awakens, may I awaken too, not to rush or to worry, but to walk gently through this day with you beside me. Let your spirit move through me, like the wind through the trees, unseen yet undeniable. Let your love fill the spaces where fear once lived. I am here, Lord, open and listening, ready to begin again in the quiet strength of your presence. Father, as the light continues to climb across the quiet sky, I feel something inside me begin to move, a soft stirring that is both ache and hope. The stillness that once felt heavy now feels alive, breathing with the promise that you are not finished with me. In the hush between my thoughts, I hear your whisper calling me to rise, not in strength, but in surrender. You are the God who sees beyond the surface, who looks into the hidden corners of my heart, where weariness has built its home. You do not turn away from my weakness. Instead, you meet me within it. Lord, I confess that there are parts of me that have grown tired of believing. I have carried disappointments that left me afraid to hope again. I have prayed words that seem to vanish into the air. unanswered and unheard. Yet even in that silence, you were there, shaping me through what I could not see. I realize now that faith does not always roar. Sometimes it simply breathes. It is the quiet decision to trust when nothing makes sense. It is the hand that still reaches upward when the night refuses to lift. You teach me that believing is not about feeling certain, but about choosing you again, here and now. Despite the noise of doubt, God, renew in me the strength to begin again, where my spirit has grown cold. Breathe warmth where cynicism has built walls. Let your truth be the hammer that breaks them down. Replace fear with wonder, anger with compassion, exhaustion with steady peace. Help me remember that new beginnings are not always grand. Sometimes they come softly, like the dawn light that slips between the cracks of a darkened room. You never rush me, and yet you never stop calling me forward. There are moments, Father, when I want to retreat, to fold back into silence, to protect my heart from the pain of trying. But you are the shepherd who leaves the 99 for the one who strays, and you have come for me. You reach through the fog of self-doubt, take my trembling hand, and whisper, walk with me. Every step toward you is a step away from fear, and though I may stumble, you steady me. You remind me that grace is not a single event, but a rhythm, a daily return, a heartbeat that never ceases. Lord, teach me to pray not as one demanding answers, but as one seeking presence. Let my words be less about what I want and more about who you are. You are the constant when everything else shifts. You are the calm center within every storm. Even when I cannot trace your hand, I can trust your heart. When tears fall without reason, when laughter feels distant, I will choose to believe that you are weaving beauty from the threads I cannot yet see. Sometimes I think of how the earth renews itself. The trees shed what is old so that new life can grow. The sea withdraws and returns again with power. The seasons remind me that nothing living remains stagnant. Perhaps this is what you are doing within me, peeling away the layers of what no longer serves, washing over the dry places, preparing the soil for something yet unseen. If so, I will not resist. I will let you reshape me, prune me, and make space for your goodness to take root. Father, I ask for courage to be honest with myself and with you. Where I have clung to control, help me to release. Where I have tried to prove my worth, remind me that I already belong. You do not measure my heart by my success, but by my willingness to stay open. I am learning that surrender is not defeat. It is the door to freedom. When I let go of my need to understand, I finally make room for your peace to dwell. God, let your spirit move through me like a fresh wind over still water. Let it stir what has lain dormant, awaken what has been forgotten, revive the childlike faith that once made me believe anything was possible. I no longer wish to live guarded. I want to live real, aware, and unafraid. I want to notice the sacred in the ordinary, the shimmer of light on a window, the quiet strength of breath filling my lungs, the pulse of life that proves I am still here. Each small miracle is a reminder that you are near. As the day unfolds, may my heart remain tender, Keep me from the rush that steals reflection. Keep me from the noise that drowns your voice. Let each thought be an offering, each act a response to your goodness. When the weight of the world presses close, remind me that I do not walk through it alone. You are my renewal, my refuge, my reason to rise again. And so I stand in this growing light, humbled yet hopeful, ready to meet whatever comes, knowing that every breath carries a trace of your mercy, and every moment is another chance to begin again. Lord, the light has grown stronger now, spreading softly across the earth. And with every passing minute, I feel you inviting me deeper. The stillness no longer feels like waiting. It feels like trust. Yet I know how easily I slip back into trying to control what was never mine to manage. Even after I have prayed, I often pick my burdens back up again, as if my hands could do what only your power can. Father, help me to let go, not halfway but completely, because surrender is not the loss of freedom, it is the discovery of it. God, I confess that I have spent so much time wrestling with things I cannot change. I have tried to fix people, rewrite moments, and force outcomes that were never mine to decide. I thought that control would protect me, that if I could just plan enough, worry enough, prepare enough, then maybe I could avoid pain. But all it has ever done is exhaust me. You are showing me that control is a cage disguised as safety, and the key has been in my hands all along. To release it is not to lose everything, it is to make room for you to move. Father, I want to learn the art of resting in your sovereignty. When my plans crumble, let me remember that your wisdom is greater than my understanding. When doors close, help me trust that you are guarding me from what could have destroyed me. I do not want to fight the path you have chosen anymore. Instead, I want to walk it with open hands, believing that every detour carries purpose, that every delay is an act of grace, not punishment. Teach me to see through eyes that recognize your timing, even when it feels late to mine. Sometimes, Lord, my heart trembles at the thought of surrender. The unknown stretches before me, wide and uncharted, and I wonder how to walk into it without fear. But you remind me that I have never been called to see the entire road, only the next step. Faith is not about knowing the destination. It is about trusting the guide. You go before me, behind me, and beside me. I am never walking alone, even when the road seems silent. You light the path one small flame at a time, enough for the moment, enough to keep going. I think of how the rivers flow, bending and twisting through valleys they did not choose. Yet they never cease to move forward. They do not fight the stones. They shape them. They trust gravity to carry them to the sea. In the same way, you are teaching me to flow with your spirit, not against it, to move when you say move, to rest when you say be still. Every act of surrender brings me closer to freedom. Every release draws me nearer to peace. God, take the weight I was never meant to bear. Take the fears about tomorrow, the regrets of yesterday, the endless thoughts that pull me away from the present moment. Teach me to breathe again, slow and deep, until I can feel your rhythm sensing with mine. Let my heart become a sanctuary, uncluttered by anxiety, open to your whisper. Remind me that surrender does not mean doing nothing. It means doing everything in partnership with you, guided by your hand instead of my fear. When my mind tries to replay the past, remind me that forgiveness is also a form of surrender. I cannot rewrite what was, but I can choose to release it into your mercy. When I am tempted to hold on to offense, let me remember that resentment chains me to what hurt me, but grace sets me free. Teach me to let go of what others think, of what I cannot explain, of what I cannot fix. In every release, may I find more of you. Father, even in this moment, I feel you untangling the knots in my spirit. The pressure to prove myself is easing. The need to know all the answers is fading. I sense your quiet strength filling the spaces where worry once lived. You do not demand perfection from me. You ask for honesty. You do not need me to have it all together. You simply want me to keep showing up. And here I am, showing up again, ready to hand you what I have been holding too tightly. The world tells me that control is power, but you show me that love is stronger, love that releases instead of clings, love that trusts instead of fears, love that chooses to rest even when chaos surrounds it. Let that kind of love grow in me, Lord, until it becomes my first response instead of my last resort. Let it shape how I speak, how I work, how I forgive, and how I dream. As the day stretches ahead, I do not know what waits for me, but I know who walks with me. That is enough. I surrender this day into your hands, the conversations I will have, the challenges I will face, the emotions I cannot predict. Take it all and weave it into something beautiful. Let my surrender become a melody that harmonizes with your will, a song that rises quietly yet powerfully within me, echoing the truth that freedom begins where control ends. Father, as I move from surrender into stillness, I begin to understand that faith is not always loud. It is not always the shout in the storm or the miracle that splits the sea. Sometimes, faith is simply the steady heartbeat that keeps going when nothing changes, the gentle whisper that refuses to give up when everything seems uncertain. I feel that kind of faith rising in me now, quiet but unshakable, like roots deep beneath the earth that hold steady even when the wind howls above. You have taught me that true strength is often silent, hidden in the small choices to trust you one more time. Lord, I used to think faith meant never doubting, never questioning, never trembling. But you have shown me that faith can exist even in the middle of uncertainty. It is not the absence of fear, but the courage to keep walking despite it. Every time I choose to believe you are good, even when life feels heavy, my faith grows stronger. Every time I remember that you are faithful, even when I cannot feel it, my heart learns to rest a little more. You are teaching me that faith is not built on outcomes, but on relationship. I do not believe because everything is perfect. I believe because you are present, God. In this growing light of morning, I lift my eyes toward what I cannot see. I trust that you are working in ways far beyond my understanding. I do not have to trace every thread of your plan to know that it is good, like the seeds buried beneath the soil. I may be hidden for a season, but you are shaping life in the unseen. Even when the waiting stretches long, I know something sacred is forming. You are the God who brings life from what seems lifeless, who calls things that are not as though they were. Help me remember that delay is not denial. It is preparation for what will bloom in its time. Father, when my faith feels fragile, hold me steady. Remind me of the times you carried me through valleys I thought I would never escape. Remind me of the prayers you answered quietly, without fanfare, in the small mercies I took for granted. Each breath I take, each sunrise I witness, is proof that your hand is still upon me. Let these reminders strengthen my soul when the darkness tries to convince me that you have forgotten. Teach me to see miracles not only in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary, the smile of a stranger, the peace after tears, the courage to try again. Sometimes, Lord, the silence between prayers feels endless. I wonder if you hear me, if my words reach beyond the ceiling of my room. But then I realize that silence is not your absence. It is your invitation. It is the space where you teach me to listen instead of speak, to trust instead of demand. In those quiet moments, my soul learns that you are not far away, you are right here, breathing within me, shaping me through patience. You are the still voice that calms the waves inside my heart. God, help me to hold on to faith that is alive, not rigid, a faith that bends but does not break, that grows deeper with every season. Let it not be dependent on blessings or success, but on the truth of who you are. When my plans crumble, may I see your fingerprints in the dust. When my strength fades, may I lean into yours. When fear whispers that I am alone, may I remember that faith is the bridge that always leads me back to you. You have never asked me to have perfect faith, only a willing heart, even mustard seed faith. You said, can move mountains, and perhaps the greatest mountain to move is not outside me, but within me, the mountain of doubt, pride, and control. I give you that mountain today. Let your spirit reshape the landscape of my heart until it mirrors your peace. Teach me to walk not by sight, but by trust, one step at a time, one breath at a time, knowing that faith is a journey, not a destination. Father, I know there will be days when my faith feels thin as air. On those days, wrap me in your presence like a blanket. Let your promises echo louder than my fear. Let your light reach into the corners where worry hides. And when I cannot pray with words, let my tears speak. Knowing that you understand every language of the heart, remind me that even a whisper of belief is enough for you to work with. You do not despise small beginnings. You delight in them because you see what they will become. So here I am again, Lord, standing in the morning light that feels both fragile and fierce. The day ahead may bring challenges I cannot foresee, but I choose to walk in quiet confidence. Not because I know what will happen, but because I know who holds it. My faith does not rest on circumstances, it rests on your unchanging love. You are the anchor when everything else shifts, the light that no shadow can swallow, the constant truth that steadies my soul. And as I take this next breath, I feel peace rise where fear once lived. I may not have all the answers, but I have faith, and that faith, however small, is enough to guide me through this day, enough to remind me that your presence is the promise that never fails. Father, as faith settles deeper within me, it begins to uncover the places I have hidden, the bruises beneath the surface, the quiet H's I have learned to ignore. The more I trust you, the more I realize how much within me still needs healing. I have built walls around old wounds, thinking they would protect me. But those same walls have also kept your light from reaching in. Today, I no longer want to live behind those barriers. I want to open the door wide and let you walk through every shadowed room of my heart. Lord, there are pains that time has not erased, only buried, words once spoken that still echo, choices I wish I could rewrite, people I miss but cannot return to. There are disappointments that have shaped me and fears that still whisper when the world grows quiet. Yet you see it all, and you do not turn away. You kneel beside me in the dust of my brokenness, not to judge, but to heal. You remind me that healing is not forgetting it, is remembering differently, through the lens of grace instead of guilt. God, I bring to you the pieces I have tried to hold together, the fragments of trust, the remnants of love, the shards of hope that once felt too sharp to touch. I place them in your hands because I know you can make something whole from what I cannot. You are not afraid of the mess. You specialize in restoration. You do not rush the process. You move with tenderness. Every scar becomes a testimony. Every tear a seed of new life. Where I once saw ruins, you are already laying the foundation for renewal. Father, sometimes I wonder why you allow pain to stay long enough to teach. But then I remember that even pain can become a pathway. Through every H, you reveal more of who you are: patient, faithful, unchanging. In the H, I find the depth of your mercy. In the waiting, I discover the strength of your presence. Healing is not always a sudden miracle. Often, it is a slow unveiling, a gentle mending that happens day by day. You do not heal only what is visible. You go deep into the unseen corners where the soul hides its tender places. Lord, teach me to forgive not only those who have hurt me, but also myself. Sometimes the hardest wound to release is the one carved by my own choices. I have carried shame like a second skin. But you never meant for me to live that way. You call me to forgiveness, not as a command to forget, but as an invitation to freedom. When I choose to forgive, I am not excusing what was wrong. I am agreeing with you that love is stronger than bitterness. I am letting you have the final word where pain once spoke loudest. There are days when the heart resists healing, when it feels easier to stay numb than to feel. But even then, you are patient. You wait at the door of the heart, not forcing your way in, but knocking softly, again and again, until I let you inside. And when I do, you begin to breathe life into what was once silent. You turn mourning into movement, ashes into beauty. You remind me that brokenness is not the end of the story. It is the place where yours begins. God, let your presence be the balm that soothes the wounds I cannot name. Let your peace settle like rain over the cracked soil of my soul. Wash away the residue of anger, the heaviness of regret, the echo of things I wish had gone differently. Replace them with hope that does not disappoint. with love that does not fade, with joy that quietly endures. You are the great physician of the heart, and every touch of yours brings life back to what was fading. Father, I ask for healing not just for myself, but for those I love. There are hearts around me that are also hurting, friends who smile through unseen pain, families carrying silent grief. Extend your healing hand over them. Let them feel seen, known, and comforted. Let the same mercy that is mending me flow through my words, my actions, and my presence. Make me an instrument of compassion, a vessel through which your love can reach others. Sometimes, Lord, I wonder what wholeness truly means. Maybe it is not the absence of scars, but the ability to live with them and still love deeply. Maybe it is walking forward without the weight of what once held me down. Healing is not about erasing the past. It is about redeeming it. It is about looking back without chains, seeing your fingerprints even in the places that once bled. And when I finally learned to see it all through your eyes, I realized that even pain has served a purpose to draw me closer to the one who heals perfectly. As the day unfolds, let my heart remain open to the quiet work of your Spirit. Let every moment, every breath, become part of the mending. Teach me to live not as someone still waiting for healing, but as someone already being made new. The process may be slow, but it is sacred. With each sunrise, I see a little more light seeping through the cracks. Proof that you are near, proof that love truly restores all things. And though my heart still carries traces of yesterday, it beats stronger now, filled with the promise that your healing never stops, it only deepens with time. Lord, as healing begins to take root within me, I feel you calling me not to stay still, but to move forward. The wounds you have touched are no longer open. They are becoming places of strength. What once felt like an ending now feels like the soil of a new beginning. You are teaching me that healing is not just the closing of pain, but the awakening of purpose. I sense your gentle whisper reminding me that there is more ahead than what lies behind. And that courage is born in the quiet decision to take one more step. Father, there is still a part of me that trembles when I think about what comes next. The unknown has always carried its own shadow, and I have often stood at its edge afraid to cross. But you remind me that courage is not the absence of fear. It is faith walking forward even while fear lingers. When I take a step, you meet me there. When I falter, you steady my foot upon the path. Every small act of trust becomes a declaration that my past no longer defines me, and that your promises are still true. God, I want to live with the kind of courage that comes from knowing who walks beside me. I no longer wish to survive the days. I want to live them fully. I want to wake with expectation, to speak with kindness, to give with open hands, to love without counting the cost. Teach me to carry the lessons of yesterday without being chained to them. Let my story become one that testifies not of my strength, but of your faithfulness. You did not bring me this far to leave me standing at the threshold of possibility. You brought me here so I could walk into what you have prepared. Lord, sometimes the steps ahead seem small, ordinary, almost invisible. Yet I know that the sacred is often hidden in the simple. Help me to find meaning in each moment, the conversation that restores hope, the task done quietly with care, the gesture of grace that no one sees. Let me not overlook the beauty in the mundane, because it is often there that you move most deeply. Courage is not always grand. Sometimes it looks like choosing gentleness over anger, forgiveness over pride, and persistence over despair. Father, I ask you to help me release the lingering weight of fear, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of not being enough. Those fears have whispered to me for too long, convincing me to play small, to hide, to wait until I feel ready. But readiness rarely comes. Faith grows in motion. You remind me that the same God who parted seas also walks on still water, and that no storm is strong enough to sink a heart anchored in your love. So today I choose to rise, not because I am fearless, but because I am yours. God, give me eyes to see opportunity where I once saw obstacles. Let my mind be renewed by the truth that every challenge is a classroom where you teach resilience. I do not ask for a path without difficulty. I ask for strength to walk it well. When fatigue whispers that I cannot go further, remind me that even the smallest step forward is still progress. Let perseverance become my companion, and let gratitude be the song that steadies my rhythm. Each day is a gift, and I do not want to waste it by standing still when you are calling me to move. Lord, teach me to listen when you nudge me toward people who need encouragement. Let me be bold in compassion, generous with hope, and gentle with those who carry unseen pain. When I reach out to others, let it not be from a place of perfection, but from a place of shared humanity. Use my story as a reminder that brokenness can become a bridge, that healing can overflow from one heart to another. Courage is not only walking forward for myself, it is walking forward so that others may see the way and follow. Father, I know that walking forward also means leaving some things behind. There are relationships, habits, and thoughts that no longer belong to the person you are shaping me to be. Help me to release them with grace, not resentment. Let letting go feel like trust instead of loss. You are teaching me that endings are not empty. They make room for beginnings. Where there was fear, fill the space with faith. Where there was doubt, plant hope that will bloom in due time. Sometimes, God, I forget that courage is built one choice at a time. It is choosing to rise after falling, to speak kindness instead of silence, to dream again when the last dream fell apart. I do not need to see the whole road. I only need enough light for this step. And in that light, I will keep moving, even when progress feels slow. I know you are with me, turning small faith into great endurance. The same voice that called me out of pain now calls me into purpose, and I choose to answer with a quiet yes. As the morning continues to unfold, let my heart walk in rhythm with yours. Let courage become the breath that carries me into this day. May I no longer live from fear of what might break, but from the certainty that you will hold me if it does. Each step forward is a conversation with your grace. Each moment a reminder that I am still becoming. I will walk with hope, not haste with faith, not certainty with courage, not perfection, and as the sun rises higher, I will remember that the same light warming the earth is the same light that burns within me, calling me to keep moving, one steady step at a time, into the fullness of life you have promised. Father, as I continue to walk forward, I begin to see how every step, no matter how small, is wrapped in grace. What once felt ordinary now glows with quiet significance. I am learning that gratitude is not just a feeling that visits when life is easy. It is a choice, a posture of the heart that transforms how I see everything. The air I breathe, the warmth of the morning light, even the rhythm of my heartbeat, all of it is a gift. Nothing is too simple to be sacred when you are within it. Lord, I used to wait for big miracles to say thank you. I thought gratitude had to be reserved for answered prayers, unexpected blessings, or moments of obvious joy. But now I see that thanksgiving begins long before the miracle arrives. Gratitude is not the response, it is the foundation. It is what steadies me while I wait, what softens my heart when life feels harsh, what reminds me that even in lack, I am surrounded by abundance. You have given me more than I ever paused to notice. And today, I want to see it all. God, open my eyes to the beauty. I overlook the way morning dew gathers like diamonds on the grass, the way laughter echoes in a room, the way a stranger's kindness restores my faith in humanity. Each of these small things is a reflection of your character. Gentle, intentional, endlessly generous. Help me to count blessings not by number, but by awareness. Let gratitude become the lens through which I view the world, so that even in moments of hardship, I can still trace the outline of your goodness. Father, I confess that I often take life for granted. I rush through days, measuring what I have against what I lack, comparing my path to someone else's. But you are teaching me that comparison blinds me to wonder. It makes me forget how uniquely you love me. Gratitude, on the other hand, opens the eyes of the soul. It slows me down long enough to notice your fingerprints on every part of my life. It transforms waiting into worship, struggle into strength, and scarcity into sufficiency. Lord, when I begin to focus on what is missing, remind me of all that remains. When disappointment tries to harden my heart, let thanksgiving soften it again. When I am tempted to ask why, teach me to ask how are you working even here, even now, in ways unseen. Gratitude is not about pretending pain does not exist. It is about recognizing that your presence exists even within it. You are the steady hand in every season, the light that remains even when the sun sets. God, let thankfulness become the language I speak, not only in prayer, but in the way I live. Let my words carry grace, my actions reflect compassion, my thoughts dwell on the good rather than the gloom. Gratitude shifts the atmosphere. It changes the way I interact with the world. When I choose to give thanks, I create space for peace to enter. I feel lighter, freer, closer to you. The burdens that once seemed heavy begin to lose their weight under the brightness of appreciation. Father, I think of how even the simplest act of giving thanks can open the door to joy. When I thank you for breath, I remember that I am still alive, still becoming. When I thank you for lessons learned through loss, I realize that growth is grace in disguise. When I thank you for the people who love me, I am reminded that connection is holy. Gratitude multiplies what I acknowledge. It turns enough into abundance. It is the song that transforms fear into faith, loneliness into belonging, and routine into revelation. Sometimes, Lord, I forget how powerful it is to be thankful in advance, to praise you not just for what has been done, but for what you are still doing behind the scenes. Faith and gratitude walk hand in hand. One believes, and the other celebrates. So even before I see the outcome, I will give thanks for the process. I will thank you for the lessons hidden in waiting, for the strength rising from struggle, for the unseen grace that carries me each day. Gratitude reminds me that every breath is evidence of purpose, and that purpose is enough. God, help me to extend this spirit of gratitude to others. Let me not just thank you with words, but live with a thankful heart toward people. May I recognize the quiet sacrifices others make, the patience they show, the love they give without asking for return. Let my gratitude become a mirror that reflects your kindness. When I appreciate others, I honor the part of you that dwells within them. When I give thanks, I participate in your ongoing act of creation, bringing light where darkness once ruled. As the day unfolds, I want to walk with awareness that everything before me is a gift. The challenges that stretch me, the opportunities that humble me, the moments of silence that draw me closer to your voice, all of them are blessings in disguise. Gratitude turns every moment into prayer, every breath into worship, every sunrise into a reminder that life is precious. Let my heart beat in rhythm with thankfulness, steady and sincere, until it becomes second nature. For when I live in gratitude, I do not merely survive, I awaken. I see life not as something to endure, but as something to cherish, to honor, and to offer back to you in love. Lord, as gratitude begins to overflow, it transforms the way I see those around me. The same light that you placed within me starts to reveal itself in the faces I meet. I realize that love was never meant to be kept, is meant to be shared. Compassion, like sunlight, loses none of its warmth when given away. You are teaching me that to truly live in your likeness is to carry your kindness wherever I go. The world may be restless, but love has the power to quiet storms within hearts. Father, help me see people not through the lens of judgment, but through the lens of mercy. Every person I meet carries a story, a weight, a longing that I may never understand. You remind me that kindness is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is choosing to respond with love instead of reaction. When I see anger, teach me to look for pain beneath it. When I see distance, help me recognize fear. And when I see brokenness, let me remember my own healing and how gently you restored me. Compassion begins when I remember what it felt like to be seen by you. God, make my heart soft again in a world that often rewards hardness. Teach me to pause before I speak, to listen before I judge, to forgive before resentment takes root. Compassion is not a single act. It is a daily posture. It is how I mirror you to a world that desperately needs to remember what grace looks like. Let me be slow to anger and quick to understand. Let me be a voice of calm where there is chaos, a touch of warmth where there is cold indifference. Lord, sometimes I find it easier to love in words than in deeds. I say I care, but I hesitate to reach out, afraid of rejection or of giving more than I can spare. Yet you remind me that compassion is not about comfort, it is about connection. It is stepping beyond myself, meeting others where they are, and trusting that love will be enough. When I see need, let me respond with generosity. When I see loneliness, let me respond with presence. When I see despair, let me carry the spark of hope you have placed within me. Father, I know that compassion begins not in grand gestures, but in the smallest choices. A kind word to a stranger, a patient silence when someone else is speaking, a willingness to forgive the moment I could have turned away. These are the sacred acts that change the world quietly. You do not measure the worth of love by its size, but by its sincerity. Even the smallest kindness, when offered in your name, can ripple further than I will ever see. God, remind me that compassion is not only for others, it is also for myself. I am still learning, still growing, still stumbling forward in faith. When I fall short, help me to extend the same grace inward that I so freely give outward. Let self-compassion not become selfishness, but a space where healing can take root, so I may love others more deeply. I cannot pour from an empty vessel, and you never asked me to. You asked me to remain close, to let your love refill what the world drains away. Lord, when the world feels harsh and people seem divided, let me be a quiet peacemaker. I do not need to fix everything. I only need to reflect your heart. Where there is conflict, let me sow gentleness. Where there is bitterness, let me offer understanding. Compassion does not always change the situation, but it always changes the atmosphere. It disarms what fear builds and reminds us humanity still carries the spark of the divine. Father, teach me to serve with joy, not obligation. Let my hands be quick to help, my words slow to wound, my spirit open to interruption. Compassion is not about doing more, but about being present fully, wholly, willingly. It is looking into the eyes of another and recognizing the reflection of your image. When I give from love, I am not losing. I am multiplying what was never meant to stay still. You are the source of all kindness, and when I give, I simply allow your river to keep flowing. Sometimes, God, the weight of the world feels too heavy. I see suffering I cannot fix, injustice I cannot end, and pain that seems endless. Yet you whisper that my role is not to carry everything, it is to carry light. I cannot solve every problem, but I can choose not to let my heart grow cold. Every act of love, no matter how small, becomes part of the great redemption you are writing. My compassion is a candle, and even one candle can chase away the darkness in a room. As this day unfolds, Lord, make me aware of the people you place in my path, the wary co-worker who hides behind business, the stranger who needs a smile, the loved one who has forgotten how to hope. Let me not rush past them. Let me be present enough to see them. Compassion begins in awareness and ends in action. Let my presence carry peace, my touch bring comfort, and my words breathe life. For when I live with compassion, I walk in step with you, the God who loved first, who loves still, and who teaches me that love is the most powerful prayer of all. Father, as compassion begins to take root within me, I feel the quiet invitation to slow down. Love requires patience, and patience requires trust. You are teaching me that waiting is not the absence of movement, but the presence of purpose in a world that celebrates speed and instant results. You call me to the still rhythm of grace. I am learning that not everything holy happens quickly. Some of the most beautiful works of your hands are shaped slowly, layer by layer, in silence and time. Lord, help me to understand that patience is not passivity. It is not the giving up of desire, but the surrender of control. When I rush ahead, I step outside of your timing. When I force outcomes, I trade peace for anxiety. Yet when I wait in faith, you align what I cannot see. You are never late, only precise. Every delay that feels painful is often a redirection wrapped in mercy. Patience reminds me that what is unfolding is not random, it is refined by your wisdom. God, I confess how easily I grow restless when doors do not open. I question whether I have been forgotten. But even in the waiting, you are at work. You are shaping me for what I have prayed for. Sometimes you withhold not to punish, but to prepare. You use the silence to strengthen my roots, to teach me endurance, to refine my focus. Waiting becomes sacred when I stop measuring time and start trusting your intention. Father, let patience guard my heart against bitterness. It is easy to look around and see others moving faster, succeeding sooner, shining brighter. But their path is not mine, and comparison poisons contentment. Remind me that a seed does not envy the tree beside it. It simply grows toward the light at its own pace. You have written a story for me, one that unfolds in its appointed season. When impatience whispers that I am behind, help me to rest in the truth that nothing meant for me will pass me by. Lord, give me the grace to wait well. Waiting is not idle. It is active faith. It is the stretching of spirit, the quiet discipline of hope. Help me to use waiting seasons not as prisons, but as classrooms. Let me learn what only stillness can teach. How to listen deeply, how to see clearly, how to love fully without rushing the outcome. You are not only in the destination, you are in the journey. In every step, in every pause that seems empty, but is full of unseen movement. God, patience is not natural to my human heart. It aches for resolution, for clarity, for the comfort of knowing what comes next. Yet you ask me to trust without seeing, to walk without the full map in hand. When the fog is thick and the road uncertain, remind me that faith grows stronger in the dark. Teach me to wait not with clenched fists, but with open hands, ready to receive whatever you deem best. For true patience is not waiting for what I want, it is resting in whatever you will. Father, help me to find peace in divine timing. Your clock does not tick like mine. What I call delay, you call development. What I see as detour, you see as protection. I have learned that some blessings are too heavy to hold before I am ready. The waiting seasons where you build my strength to carry them. Each moment I endure in faith adds weight to my character, depth to my gratitude, and humility to my heart. Lord, when I grow weary in the waiting, remind me of how patience mirrors your own heart. You are patient with me every day, slow to anger, rich in mercy, steadfast in love. If you can wait for me to become who you created to me, surely I can wait for your plans to unfold. Let me love as you love, steady and enduring. Let me serve faithfully in the small places while I wait for the greater ones. For patience is not about standing still, it is about standing firm. God, teach me to find beauty in unfinished things. Life is full of moments that are still becoming, prayers that are still rising, and dreams that are still forming their wings. The in-between is holy too. It is there that faith matures, that surrender deepens, that gratitude expands beyond the visible. Help me to see the waiting not as wasted time, but as sacred preparation. Every unanswered prayer, every unfulfilled hope, every slow dawn carries within it the whisper that you are not done yet. Father, let today be a reminder that patience is a form of strength. It does not roar. It breathes. It is quiet but unbreakable. It is the gentle courage to hold on when nothing makes sense. The calm endurance that believes goodness will come even when it is unseen. Patience is not weakness, it is the steady heartbeat of trust. So as I move through this day, help me to walk with unhurried grace. Let my steps be guided by faith, not fear. Let my waiting be filled with worship, not worry. For in your perfect time, everything finds its purpose, and every heart that learns to wait finds peace that never fades. Lord, as patience begins to steady my heart, I feel you calling me towards something deeper, courage. Not the kind that shouts loudly or demands attention, but the quiet courage that trusts even when the path ahead is unclear. It is the bravery that rises not from my strength, but from yours. You remind me that faith is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Every step I take in trust becomes an act of holy courage, a declaration that I believe your promises more than I believe my doubts. Father, I have learned that courage is not born in moments of comfort. It grows in the soil of uncertainty, watered by surrender and sunlighted by hope. You have shown me that true courage begins in the stillness of faith. When I choose to believe before I see, to speak life into silence, to hold on when letting go would be easier. When I walk by sight, I often stumble, but when I walk by faith, you guide my every step with unseen hands. Teach me to stand firm in that unseen certainty, to trust that you are working even when I cannot trace you. God, there are days when fear whispers too loudly. It tells me I am not enough, that the mountain is too high, the valley too deep, the storm too strong. But then your voice, quiet yet unwavering, cuts through the noise. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Those words are not just comfort, they are command. You are not asking me to feel brave. You are asking me to be faithful. Courage, I realize, is not about never trembling. It is about trembling and still saying yes. Lord, I want to carry a faith that dares to believe in the impossible, the kind that looks at walls and sees doors waiting to be opened, that looks at scarcity and sees the start of a miracle. I do not want a faith that only sings when life is good. I want a faith that stands tall in the storm and says, "Even here, you are good." The courage of faith is not loud. It is steady. It refuses to bow to fear, not because it knows the outcome, but because it knows the one who holds it. Father, teach me to find strength in surrender. The world often teaches that courage is control, that to be brave is to conquer, to overcome, to dominate. But you reveal a different truth. Real courage is found in letting go, in opening my hands, in saying, "Your will, not mine." It takes more courage to release than to grasp, to forgive than to fight, to trust than to panic. Help me to remember that surrender is not weakness, it is worship. It is the brave act of giving you what was never mine to begin with. God, remind me that courage grows in the company of faithfulness. It is not a single decision, but a daily discipline. Each morning, when I rise, I can choose courage in small ways, to speak truth with grace, to extend kindness where it is undeserved, to show up when I would rather hide. These are the sacred moments where bravery meets obedience. And when I stumble, when fear creeps in again, remind me that courage is not perfection, it is persistence. It is standing up one more time, because you never stopped believing in me. Lord, help me to see courage not as something I must possess on my own, but as something that flows through me from you. You are my fortress, my shield, my unwavering strength. You go before me and behind me, surrounding me with purpose. Even when I face what seems unmovable, I am not standing alone. Courage is not the absence of weakness, it is the awareness that in my weakness, your power is made perfect. When I rely on you, I become unshaken, even if my knees tremble. Father, let faith make me bold in love. Courage is not only about facing trials, it is also about choosing compassion in a cynical world, forgiveness in a bitter one, hope in a wary one. To love deeply is one of the bravest acts of all. It means opening myself to pain, rejection, and vulnerability, yet choosing to love anyway, because that is who you are. Teach me that courage is not always about doing more, but about being real, being kind, being steadfast when everything around me says to give up. God, in moments when I feel small, remind me of every time you used the smallest things to bring forth greatness. A boy's sling and stone, a widow's oil, a mustard seed of faith, all proof that you delight in using the least to reveal the most. Courage begins not when I am ready, but when I say yes. So let me not wait for perfect conditions to act. Let me step forward, trusting that you will meet me where my faith ends and your strength begins. Lord, as this morning light spills across the horizon, I feel the steady pulse of your promise beating within me. You have not called me to live in fear, but to walk in freedom. Let courage become the rhythm of my spirit, the echo of my trust, whether I am called to climb or to wait, to speak or to be silent, to build or to release. Let my every decision be rooted in faith. For courage is not about what lies ahead, it is about who walks beside me. And as long as you are near, no path is too uncertain, no burden too heavy, and no dream too far. I will move forward, not because I know what will happen, but because I know who you are. Father, as courage strengthens my faith, I begin to understand that one of the greatest acts of bravery is forgiveness. It is easier to fight battles outside than to face the quiet wars within. But you call me to forgive not because it is simple, but because it is sacred. Forgiveness is the language of freedom, the sound of chains breaking. You know how tightly the human heart clings to pain, how resentment feels like protection, when in truth it is a prison. Lord, teach me to open the locked doors of my soul, to release those who have wounded me, and in doing so, to release myself. Lord, I confess that forgiveness often feels impossible. The wounds run deep, and the memories linger like echoes in the night. My heart wants justice, not mercy, clarity, not compassion. Yet you remind me that true healing does not come from revenge, it comes from release. When I cling to bitterness, I drink poison hoping others will hurt. When I forgive, I choose life. Let me remember that forgiveness is not a moment, it is a process, a daily choice to surrender the right to hold on to pain. Help me to see that forgiving is not excusing. It is entrusting. It is placing what I cannot fix into your hands. God, you have forgiven me more times than I can count. Every day I stumble, and every day you welcome me back. If the Creator of heaven and earth can wipe away my debts with love, who am I to hold debts against another? Remind me that forgiveness is not about who deserves it, but about who desires peace. My heart was never made to carry anger. It was made to carry grace. Every time I forgive, I reflect a small piece of your divine mercy, a mercy that makes beauty out of brokenness and harmony out of hurt. Father, sometimes the hardest person to forgive is myself. I replay old mistakes, relive words I wish I could take back, and build walls of shame around my soul. But you whisper that I am not defined by my failures. I am refined by your forgiveness. Teach me to accept the grace I so readily offer others. Let me see myself as you see me, redeemed, restored, and renewed. Self-forgiveness is not pride. It is obedience. It is acknowledging that your mercy is bigger than my guilt. Help me to stop punishing myself for what you have already paid for. Lord, I know that forgiveness does not erase pain, but it transforms it. It changes how I carry it. It softens what bitterness hardens. It turns scars into stories of grace. Teach me to let my pain become purpose, to let my suffering shape compassion instead of resentment. When I forgive, I do not lose power. I reclaim it. I declare that my heart will not be ruled by hurt, but by healing. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is remembering with peace. It is choosing to walk forward without dragging yesterday's weight into tomorrow's dawn. God, grant me the humility to seek forgiveness when I am the one who has caused pain. Pride whispers that admitting wrongness is weakness, but you show me it is strength. Let me have the courage to say I am sorry without excuses, and the grace to mean it. Teach me that reconciliation begins with truth, and truth always leads to freedom. Help me to rebuild bridges that have been burned by words, to mend bonds broken by misunderstanding. Where apologies cannot reach, let prayer carry what my words cannot. Father, There are wounds that still bleed, relationships that remain distant, hearts that refuse peace. In those spaces, I will choose to forgive even without return. Forgiveness does not always bring restoration, but it always brings release. I will not wait for an apology that may never come. I will forgive because I need to be free, because you have called me to live unchained. Let me remember that when I forgive, I am not excusing what happened. I am choosing to trust that you will bring justice in your perfect way, at your perfect time. Lord, remind me that forgiveness is a testimony of love stronger than pain. It is not weakness to turn the other cheek. It is divine strength. When you hung upon the cross, betrayed and beaten, you did not curse, you forgave. That was the ultimate courage. Teach me to follow that example, even when it costs me pride, even when it leaves me vulnerable. For forgiveness is not an act of forgetting what others did to me, but of remembering what you did for me. You turned suffering into salvation. Let me turn my pain into praise. God, I pray that forgiveness will flow through me like living water washing away resentment, nourishing peace and softening hearts around me. Let my life become a reflection of mercy in motion. Where others see impossibility, let them witness grace. Where others see wounds, let them witness healing. I want to forgive not just with words, but with my way of being, with how I speak, how I treat others, and how I respond to those who once hurt me. Forgiveness is the fragrance left by the flower that was crushed. Let that fragrance linger wherever I go. Father, as this day unfolds, help me to live in the freedom of forgiveness. Let no shadow of bitterness dim my spirit. Fill my heart with quiet strength, the kind that does not seek revenge, but radiates peace. May my life become a living prayer of mercy, a continual offering of grace. For in forgiving others, I find the truest reflection of you. Forgiveness is not the end of pain, but the beginning of resurrection. Through it, love triumphs over hatred, and peace rises where hurt once lived. Let me walk forward in that truth, breathing the clean air of grace, free at last to love without fear, to hope without limit, and to live as one who has truly been forgiven. Father, as forgiveness releases the weight from my heart, I feel a quiet stillness rising within me, a peace that invites gratitude. It is as if every breath carries a whisper of thankfulness, reminding me that grace has been here all along, waiting to be noticed. Gratitude does not erase the pain of the past, but it transforms how I see it. It turns memories into lessons, hardships into sacred ground. Lord, help me to live with eyes wide open to the miracles that weave through ordinary moments, the soft light spilling through morning clouds, the sound of my own heartbeat, the simple gift of being alive today. Lord, I am learning that gratitude is not a feeling I must wait for. It is a decision I can make, even when life feels heavy. It begins when I stop measuring what I lack and start treasuring what I have, when I shift my gaze from what has gone wrong to what is still right. I find you there in every small kindness, every act of love, every moment of grace that goes unnoticed by a hurried world. Gratitude, I realize, is the soil where joy grows. It is not dependent on circumstances, but rooted in awareness. The more I give thanks, the more I see that there is always something to be thankful for. God, teach me to give thanks not only in abundance but in absence. It is easy to be grateful when everything aligns, but true gratitude blooms in adversity, when doors close. Help me to thank you for the protection I do not yet understand, when plans crumble. Let me trust that you are building something better. Gratitude is faith in motion. It looks beyond what is visible and believes that even the unseen holds purpose. Let me thank you not just for the blessings I can count, but for the ones I cannot comprehend yet. Father, let my gratitude be alive, not confined to words but expressed in how I live. Thankfulness without action is like a melody never played. Help me to show gratitude through kindness, patience, and service. When I extend compassion, I honor what I have been given. When I forgive, I multiply the mercy I have received. Gratitude turns what I have into enough, and what I do into worship. Let every act today, every conversation, every choice carry the quiet echo of thankfulness. Lord, there are mornings when gratitude feels far away, when sorrow clouds my sight and fear steals my joy. Yet even then, you whisper through the silence, "Be still and see." There is always something sacred beneath the sorrow, some thread of grace holding it all together. Teach me to thank you not only for deliverance, but for endurance, for the strength to keep going when I cannot yet see the light. Gratitude is not denial. It is defiance against despair. It is the decision to believe that goodness will rise again. God, let me be thankful for the people you have placed along my path, the ones who lift me when I fall, who listen when words fail, who remind me of your love when my faith grows thin. And for those who have hurt me, I choose gratitude too, for they have become teachers in disguise, shaping my humility, patience, and compassion. Each encounter, whether gentle or painful, carries a seed of purpose. Gratitude allows me to see life not as a series of accidents, but as a masterpiece of divine orchestration. Father, may gratitude become the rhythm of my spirit. Let it wake with me in the morning and rest with me at night. Let it soften my tone, lighten my burdens, and widen my perspective. When I am tempted to complain, let thankfulness interrupt. When I am anxious about tomorrow, let remembrance of your past goodness bring peace. Gratitude is the memory of the heart. It reminds me of every valley I have crossed and every mountaintop you have led me to. It keeps me grounded in the truth that I have never walked alone. Lord, help me to see that gratitude is not a destination, but a way of traveling. It is the posture of a heart aware that everything, even the smallest breath, is grace. When I give thanks, I do not just honor the gifts, I honor the giver. Every moment of appreciation draws me closer to you, until gratitude becomes prayer and prayer becomes life itself. Let me live today as a walking thank you, a quiet offering to the one who has given me more than I could ever deserve. God, let gratitude open my heart to wonder again. The world often tries to dull my senses, to make me rush past beauty in search of more. But you call me back to simplicity, to notice the sacred in the small, the laughter of a child, the warmth of sunlight on skin, the stillness of early dawn. Gratitude slows time, allowing me to see what I used to overlook. It turns the ordinary into holy ground, the fleeting into eternal. When I live in gratitude, I live in your presence. Father, as this morning unfolds, let thankfulness be my compass. Let it direct my thoughts, guide my choices, and fill my soul with peace. I will not wait for a perfect day to be grateful, because every day lived with you is already enough. Gratitude is not a response, it is a relationship, constant conversation between my heart and yours. And as I breathe in the gift of this new day, I choose once again to give thanks, not because everything is perfect, but because you are, Lord. As gratitude fills my soul like morning light spilling across the earth, I feel hope stirring quietly within me. It rises gently, like dawn after a long night, reminding me that every ending carries the seed of a new beginning. Hope is not a promise that everything will be easy, but a whisper that everything will be redeemed. It is the steady flame that refuses to die, even when the winds of despair try to extinguish it. Father, let this hope take root in me not as a fragile wish, but as a living certainty anchored in your goodness. Father, sometimes hope feels distant, like a star faintly shining through the fog of uncertainty. Life has its seasons of silence, when prayers seem unanswered and faith feels thin. Yet even then, you are there, not absent but unseen, working in the soil of waiting. Teach me to trust that silence is not abandonment, it is preparation. You are cultivating something I cannot yet see, a harvest that will bloom in its appointed time. Hope grows not when I understand, but when I believe despite the unknown. God, you remind me that hope is an act of courage. It takes strength to keep believing when circumstances shout the opposite. The world teaches me to measure outcomes, but you teach me to measure faith. Hope is not built on what is visible, it is built on what is eternal. It looks at the impossible and says, "Still, I will trust." It looks at the barren field and envisions the harvest. It stands firm when reason falters, because it knows that you, not circumstance, have the final word. Lord, help me to hope not just for myself, but for others. There are those whose hearts have grown weary, whose spirits bend under the weight of grief or loss. Let me be a vessel that carries hope where it has been forgotten. A kind word, a gentle gesture, a silent prayer, these are small seeds that can awaken faith again. Teach me to be the light in someone else's night, to reflect the hope you have placed within me, for hope shared is hope multiplied. Father, remind me that hope and patience walk hand in hand. Hope waits without surrendering to despair. It understands that your timing is not delay, it is design. When I grow restless, let me remember that waiting is not wasted when I wait with faith. The seed does not see the sunlight while buried, yet it still grows. So too must my spirit trust the darkness, for even there, you are at work. Help me to rest in the mystery, to breathe in trust, and to let hope become the rhythm that steadies my days. God, when the storms of life rise again, and the waves threaten to drown my peace, let hope become my anchor, not the brittle kind that breaks in fear, but the sacred kind that holds firm in the depths. Hope is not pretending the storm does not exist. It is remembering that you are greater than the storm. You walk upon the waters that terrify me. You speak calm into the chaos. Hope, then, is the hand that reaches for yours in the dark and finds that it was never alone. Lord, there are times when I mistake hope for denial, when I fear that believing for better means ignoring what is real. But hope is not blind, it sees the pain, yet chooses the promise. It faces the valley, but looks toward the mountain. It weeps, but it still believes. Hope is both strength and surrender, the courage to say, I will not give up, and the faith to whisper, your will be done. Teach me that hope is not about controlling the outcome, but trusting the outcome to you. Father, let hope shape how I see the future. Let it not be an escape from reality, but a vision of redemption. Hope allows me to look at the ruins and still believe in restoration, to face uncertainty and still move forward. It transforms fear into expectancy, despair into anticipation. Hope is not passive, it fuels perseverance. It pushes me to act, to love, to keep showing up even when the result is unknown. For when I live in hope, I am living in faith. God, when I recall the times you have rescued me before, I realize that hope has always been my companion. Even when I did not name it, it was there in every moment I thought I was breaking, but was being built instead. Hope was the quiet voice that told me to take one more step, the unseen force that lifted my head when I could no longer lift my heart. Hope is not something I must find. It is something you have already placed within me. It is the echo of eternity inside the human soul. Lord, as this day unfolds, let me live as a person of unshakable hope. Let my words carry light, my thoughts birth peace, and my actions reflect trust. The world may be uncertain, but you are not. Let hope rise above every fear and outlast every storm. It is the melody of the Spirit, the sound of resurrection long before the miracle arrives. Hope reminds me that no night is endless, no pain is wasted, and no heart is too broken for you to heal. And so, I will walk forward in the quiet confidence of faith, believing that even now, you are making all things new. Father, as hope steadies my soul and lights my path, I begin to see that true peace comes not from control, but from surrender. It is in releasing what I cannot change that I find the freedom to breathe again. The world teaches me to fight for certainty, to hold tightly to plans and outcomes. But you invite me into the opposite, a holy yielding. To surrender is not to lose, it is to trust. It is the quiet act of laying my will before yours and whispering, you know best. Teach me to loosen my grip on the things I fear to lose, and in doing so, to discover that nothing surrendered to you is ever truly lost. Lord, surrender is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. It requires more courage to yield than to resist, more faith to release than to grasp. In the moments when I feel torn between what I want and what you will, let me choose trust over understanding. Your ways are higher, your timing wiser, your love deeper than my limited sight can perceive. When I surrender, I do not step into emptiness, I step into the fullness of your plan. Help me remember that surrender is not the end of my story. It is the beginning of yours unfolding through me. God, I confess that surrender does not come easily. My heart wrestles with the desire to control, to protect, to fix. I hold on to fears as if they could shield me, when in truth, they bind me. You gently remind me that faith is not about holding tight, it is about letting go. You cannot fill hands that are already clenched. So today, I open them. I release my anxieties, my expectations, my regrets. I place them into your capable hands, trusting that you can carry what I cannot. Surrender does not mean I stop caring. It means I stop trying to be my own savior. Father, in surrender, I find stillness. The noise of striving begins to fade, and I can finally hear your voice again. The world shouts that control equals power, but you whisper that surrender equals peace. It is not about giving up, it is about giving over. When I let go, I make room for you to move. When I release my plans, I give space for yours to bloom. Surrender is not a collapse. It is a calm standing in the river of trust, allowing the current of grace to carry me where I need to go. Lord, teach me to surrender not only in crisis, but in the everyday rhythms of life. I want to yield not only my fears, but also my ambitions, my comfort, my pride. Let my surrender be consistent, not conditional. When life goes well, remind me that even joy must be placed in your hands. When blessings come, teach me not to cling but to share. When success arrives, help me remember that every good thing flows from you. Surrender keeps my heart humble. It reminds me that I am the vessel, not the source. God, I have seen how surrender transforms pain. When I stopped resisting what hurt and placed it before you, it became something sacred. You turned my wounds into wisdom, my losses into lessons. Every time I laid something down, you replaced it with something eternal. What I feared would destroy me became the soil where grace grew. Surrender is not a single act, it is a lifelong posture. It is choosing daily to say, even if I do not understand, I still trust you. It is the rhythm of a heart aligned with heaven. Father, when I look back on my life, I see the beauty that came not from the moments I controlled, but from the moments I surrendered. The times when I was most afraid to let go were the times you carried me closest. The path I never would have chosen led me to blessings I never could have imagined. Help me to see surrender not as losing direction, but as finding alignment. When I stop fighting you, I stop fighting peace. Your will is not my enemy, it is my refuge. Lord, help me surrender not only outcomes, but timing. Waiting tests my patience and exposes my restlessness. Yet it is there that surrender deepens. I do not want to rush ahead of your purpose or lag behind in hesitation. I want to walk in step with you at the pace of peace. Surrender is not standing still, it moving gracefully with trust, like leaves carried by the wind. I want my soul to drift in harmony with your breath. Let my waiting become worship, my yielding become faith in motion. God, in the quiet of surrender, I feel lighter. The weight I once carried was never mine to bear. When I release control, I rediscover joy. When I stop clinging, I start living. Surrender does not take away my voice, it tunes it to your song. It makes me less of what I fear and more of who I am meant to be. I do not surrender because I am defeated. I surrender because I am loved. Your love is not conditional upon my control. It waits patiently for me to return, again and again, to the place of rest. Father, As this day begins, I give it to you. Every word, every decision, every breath is yours. I do not know what will come, but I know who holds it. Let surrender be the melody that guides my heart through uncertainty. Let it be the light that softens pride, the anchor that steadies fear, the bridge that connects my will to yours. Surrender is not the end of striving, it is the beginning of freedom. And as I yield to you this morning, I find that I am not losing control, I am gaining peace, the kind that only comes when my soul finally rests in your hands. Lord, after surrender settles like gentle rain upon my soul, I begin to feel the stillness that only your presence can bring. It is not the silence of emptiness, but the calm of assurance. Peace is not the absence of struggle, it is the deep knowing that you are here in the middle of it. You do not always remove the storm, but you always remain within it. When everything around me trembles, your peace becomes my anchor, holding me steady when reason cannot. Teach me to dwell in that quiet confidence, the unshakable calm that comes from trusting that every moment is already held in your hands. Father, I have learned that peace begins not outside of me, but within. It grows when I stop fighting for control and start resting in surrender. The more I release, the more room I make for you. Your peace is not loud or demanding. It moves softly, like a river beneath the surface, guiding everything without force. I used to chase peace as if it were a reward, but now I see it as a gift, one that comes when I align my heart with yours. It is the fruit of trust, the fragrance of a soul that no longer needs to prove, defend, or fear. God, sometimes peace feels distant because the world shouts so loudly, the noise of worry, the clamor of fear, the endless race of comparison. All of it pulls my heart away from stillness. Yet you remind me that peace is not found by escaping the world, but by inviting you into it. You do not ask me to hide from life, but to walk through it with a quiet spirit. Help me to carry peace like a lamp in a dark room, small, perhaps, but powerful enough to change the atmosphere around me. Let my calm become contagious, a reflection of your serenity to restless hearts. Lord, peace is not passive, it is powerful. It takes strength to stay calm when provoked, to remain gentle when misunderstood, to be kind when wronged. Let your peace guard my heart from reacting to chaos. When others speak with anger, let my words carry grace. When the world demands speed, let my spirit move in rhythm with patience. Peace is not withdrawal, it is wisdom. It is choosing to respond from love instead of fear, to live as though every moment is sacred, because it is. Father, teach me to find peace even in unanswered prayers. There are times when I do not understand your timing or your ways, and I am tempted to doubt. But peace does not come from having all the answers. It comes from trusting that you do. The waiting is no longer wasted when I rest in confidence that you are working, even when I cannot see. Let me sit in that mystery without panic, knowing that what is delayed is not denied. Your peace is the bridge between what is and what will be. God, when anxiety whispers that I must do more, achieve more, or become more, quiet my spirit with your truth. I do not need to earn what you have already given. Peace comes when I remember that I am loved, not for my performance, but for my presence before you. You delight in me as I am, not as I strive to be. Teach me to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to remember that the same hands that shaped the stars also hold me. In that truth, fear loses its power, and peace becomes my dwelling place. Lord, I pray for the peace that surpasses understanding, the kind does not make sense to the world, but makes perfect sense to the soul. It is the peace that looks at the storm and smiles, not because the storm is small, but because the God within it is greater. It is the peace that walks through fire and does not burn, that sits among lions and does not fear. Let this peace guard my mind from the poison of worry, and my heart from the weight of regret. Let it flow through me like living water, refreshing everything it touches. Father, I want to be a peacemaker, not merely a peace seeker. Let me carry your stillness into places of conflict, your gentleness into spaces of tension. The world does not need louder voices. It needs calmer ones. When I meet hostility, let me answer with patience. When I encounter division, let me speak words that heal instead of wound. Peace is not found in being right, but in being kind. It is the strength to love in the midst of difference, and the grace to stay soft when life hardens hearts. God, help me protect the peace you give me. Let me be careful of what I allow into my spirit, what I watch, what I dwell on, what I repeat. I cannot always choose what happens to me, but I can choose what stays within me. When negativity knocks, let peace answer the door. When doubt creeps in, let peace remind me of your promises. When exhaustion overwhelms, let peace restore my breath. Peace is not fragile, it is forged in trust, sustained by presence, and renewed in gratitude. Lord, as this morning unfolds, let peace be my posture and my protection. Let it steady my steps and soften my speech. Let it remind me that no matter what happens today, nothing can separate me from your love. I do not need to rush or fear. I only need to rest in the assurance that you are here. The world may change. The day may surprise me, but peace remains constant because you remain constant. And as I walk forward, may your peace not only fill me, but overflow from me, spreading quietly, faithfully, like light breaking over a still horizon. Father, as your peace settles deep within me, I feel the gentle stirring of renewal. Peace is not the end of movement, it is the beginning of strength reborn. When the heart is calm, the spirit can rise again. I used to believe that strength was found in constant striving, in unrelenting effort, in the refusal to rest. But now I understand that true strength begins in stillness. It is the quiet resolve that blooms after surrender, the holy energy that flows not from exhaustion, but from connection with you. Strength is not noise, it is endurance, grace, and the quiet courage to begin again when the world says to stop. Lord, I have known the kind of tired that seeps into the soul, the exhaustion that no amount of sleep can heal. It comes from carrying burdens never meant to be mine, from trying to fix what only you can restore. But today, I choose to lay down my weariness. I do not want the strength that burns out. I want the strength that burns steady, the kind that draws from an endless well. You promise that those who wait upon you shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles, run and not grow weary, walk and not faint. Teach me to wait well, to rest not in idleness, but in expectancy. Renewal comes not by force, but by faith. God. The strength you give is different from the world's. The world measures power by control, by dominance, by appearance, but you measure it by endurance, by humility, by love. The strongest souls are not those who never fall, but those who rise with grace after every fall. Teach me that my weakness is not failure, it is invitation. Every moment I admit I cannot do this alone becomes the doorway where your strength enters. My weakness is the empty space that grace fills. My surrender is the soil where resilience grows. Father, I need strength for the unseen battles, the silent wars within the heart that no one else can see. The strength to forgive again when it still hurts, to hope again when nothing changes, to believe again after disappointment. This kind of strength does not roar. It whispers. It keeps walking when it would be easier to sit down. It keeps loving when the world grows cold. It keeps praying even when heaven seems quiet. Give me that kind of strength, the kind that endures without bitterness, that bends without breaking, that stays tender while standing firm. Lord, renew my strength not just to survive, but to serve. Let my energy be used not for self-preservation, but for love. The world grows weary of empty words. It longs for hearts that act. Let my hands carry compassion, my feet walk toward those who need comfort, and my voice speak healing. Strength was never meant to end in me. It was meant to flow through me. The more I give, the more I receive. The more I pour out, the more you fill. This is the mystery of grace. I become stronger not by hoarding, but by serving. God. Sometimes renewal feels slow. I expect transformation in a moment, but you rebuild me layer by layer, day by day. Like a tree regaining its leaves after winter, my spirit renews quietly. Almost imperceptibly. There are mornings when I wake up still tired, still unsure, but even then, your mercies are new. Every sunrise is proof that you have not finished with me yet. Help me to see renewal not as an event, but as a process, one shaped by patience, prayer, and trust. You are not rushing me. You are refining me. Father, I ask not only for strength to endure the hard days, but also for strength to stay humble in the good ones. It takes courage to persevere through trials, but it takes equal strength to remain gentle when life goes well. Success without humility leads to pride, and pride always weakens the soul. Let me stay grounded in gratitude, remembering that every victory is yours. Strength rooted in ego withers, but strength rooted in grace endures. May my power never outgrow my compassion, and may my confidence never silence my dependence on you. Lord, when my heart feels depleted, remind me that renewal is already unfolding. You are the God of beginnings, the restorer of the weary, the breath behind every revival. Even in my stillness, you are at work. You renew my mind when I meditate on truth, my spirit when I lift it in prayer, and my body when I rest in trust. You restore what worry has drained. You rebuild what fear has fractured. Every moment I return to you, I am made whole again. Strength is not found in striving to be unbreakable, but in returning to the one who makes me unshaken, God. Let renewal become my rhythm. When I am stretched thin, bring me back to the quiet where you speak softly. When I am drained, remind me that your presence is my power source. Let me live as one constantly refilled, like a river that never runs dry because it flows from its source. Renewal is not about doing more. It is about being more aware of you in every breath, every task, every silence. Let each sunrise renew my resolve to trust deeper, love truer, and walk stronger. Father, as I rise into this day, I ask for strength that flows like sunlight, steady, patient, warm. Let it shine even when clouds appear. Let it guide even when shadows fall. Renew me from the inside out, mind, heart, and spirit until my life reflects the quiet endurance of your grace. I do not seek to be unbreakable, only unyielding in faith. And as the morning unfolds, may my renewed strength become a testament, not of my will, but of your presence, the unending source from which all true strength is born. Lord, as renewed strength flows quietly through me, I feel it calling not just to sustain me, but to soften me. Strength without compassion can harden the heart, but you remind me that the purpose of renewal is to love better. Compassion is the purest expression of your heart. It sees beyond faults, beyond differences, beyond pain. It does not demand perfection. It chooses understanding. Father, let my strength become tenderness, my endurance become empathy. Help me to see others not through judgment, but through the lens of grace, as you have always seen me. Father, compassion begins where pride ends. It grows in the soil of humility, watered by mercy. The world often teaches us to protect ourselves by closing off, to turn away from pain that is not our own, to remain safe behind indifference. But you teach me a different way, the way of open hands and open hearts. Compassion is not weakness. It is courage in its truest form. It is the willingness to feel deeply in a world that numbs itself, to stand beside the hurting without needing to fix them, to love without expecting anything in return. Give me that kind of courage, the compassion that does not run away from brokenness, but steps closer to it. God, I have learned that compassion does not always look grand. Sometimes it is quiet, hidden in small acts, listening without interruption, offering kindness instead of correction, choosing gentleness over pride. These moments, though unseen, are the brushstrokes that paint love across another's life. Compassion does not need applause. It only needs presence. Teach me to be present, to notice the wary eyes, the trembling voices, the silent battles others carry. Help me to bring your light not through words alone, but through the warmth of understanding. Lord, show me how to love those who are difficult to love. It is easy to be kind to those who are kind to me, but compassion truly shines in the places of friction. When I meet anger, help me to respond with patience. When I encounter judgment, help me to answer with grace. Compassion does not excuse wrongdoing. It chooses to see the woundedness beneath it. You loved even those who betrayed you, even those who mocked you, and in doing so, You revealed the depth of divine mercy. Teach me to follow that example, to love beyond fairness, beyond reason, beyond comfort. Father, help me to extend compassion to the forgotten and unseen, the lonely, the outcast, the ones the world passes by. These are the people closest to your heart. Let me not be too busy or self-absorbed to notice them. Compassion begins in awareness. It requires that I open my eyes to suffering rather than look away. I want to live a life that interrupts indifference, a life that chooses care over convenience. Let my compassion not be limited by borders, opinions, or fear. Let it flow freely, like sunlight, touching everyone in its path. God, I also need compassion for myself. So often I offer grace to others but deny it to my own soul. I judge myself harshly, carry guilt too long, and speak unkind words within. But you remind me that I am also one of your children, worthy of the same gentleness I offer others. Self-compassion is not self-pity. It is the recognition that I too am growing, learning, and being shaped by grace. When I stumble, let me rise with patience. When I fall short, let me remember that failure is not final in your hands. A heart softened by mercy toward itself will always love others more freely. Lord, compassion requires time, and I confess that I often hurry past it. The pace of life pulls me toward efficiency, not empathy. Yet love cannot be rushed. It asks for presence. Slow me down enough to see. Help me to walk through the world with unhurried eyes, to notice the sacred humanity in every person I meet. Compassion turns interruptions into invitations, strangers into stories, moments into ministry. Let every encounter today become an opportunity to reflect your kindness, even in the simplest way: a smile, a word, a listening heart. Father, I ask that compassion becomes my default response, not my rare exception. When others are weary, let me bring comfort. When they celebrate, let me share joy. When they fail, let me offer grace instead of criticism. Compassion transforms communities because it mirrors you. It heals divisions, mends wounds, and rebuilds trust. Help me to live as a peacemaker in a world that often divides, to carry reconciliation where there is resentment, and to be gentle in a world that rewards harshness. God, remind me that compassion does not deplete, it multiplies. Every time I pour out kindness, you refill me. Every time I forgive, you expand my heart. Compassion enlarges the soul until it reflects more of you and less of me. It is not something I must create. It is something I uncover, for your love already lives within me. When I love with compassion, I do not simply act on your behalf, I act with you, as a vessel of divine love touching the human world. Lord, as this new morning unfolds, let compassion be the language of my heart. Let it color my thoughts, shape my words, and guide my hands. May every interaction today carry the warmth of kindness and the gentleness of grace. Where others see flaws, let me see stories. Where others pass by, let me pause. And where the world grows cold, let me be a quiet spark of your love, of a reminder that compassion is not just something we give, but something we become when we live close to you. Father, as compassion expands my heart and reshapes the way I see others. I begin to understand that love cannot exist without patience. Compassion opens the door, but patience keeps it open. It allows me to love through difficulty, to wait without bitterness, and to trust without rushing. Patience is not weakness, it is the quiet strength that holds steady when the world demands haste. It is the grace to remain calm when answers delay, and peace to believe that your timing is always right. Lord, let patience settle deep within me like steady roots that hold firm through every changing season. Lord, I confess that waiting is not easy. My mind longs for resolution. My heart craves clarity, and my spirit grows restless when I cannot see what lies ahead. But you remind me that waiting is not wasting. It is a sacred classroom where faith matures and trust deepens. Every pause you allow has purpose. In waiting, you are shaping my heart for what is to come, teaching me to rely not on outcomes, but on your presence. Help me to see delay not as denial, but as divine design, a space where unseen miracles are quietly taking form. God, patience is more than enduring time. It is embracing the moment. Teach me to be present in the waiting, to find purpose even in pause. When I look back, I see that some of the greatest blessings came not in the instant, but in the interval. You were preparing me when I thought you were silent, strengthening me when I thought you were distant. Let me rest in that awareness that every moment of waiting is an invitation to lean into you more fully, to trade anxiety for assurance, and to let hope ripen in the stillness. Father, grant me patience not only for circumstances, but for people. Teach me to see beyond their rough edges and meet them where they are, not where I wish they would be. Every heart moves at its own pace. Every soul unfolds in its own time. Remind me that impatience with others often reveals impatience within myself. Let me not rush the growth of those around me, but nurture it with gentleness and understanding. The same grace that you extend to me, I will extend to them. Let patience become the rhythm of every relationship, a bridge between truth and love. Lord, sometimes the hardest person to be patient with is myself. I want transformation without the journey, healing without the process, progress without persistence. But growth takes time, and time is sacred. Help me to forgive myself for not being further along, for stumbling in places I thought I had already overcome. Teach me to celebrate progress instead of perfection. You are not disappointed by my pace. You are delighted by my persistence. Patience with myself allows me to walk freely in grace, to see life not as a race, but as a rhythm unfolding under your direction. God, when the pace of life feels relentless, and the weight of expectation presses on my chest, teach me to breathe again. Remind me that patience is the breath of faith. It slows my heart to the rhythm of eternity, aligning my steps with yours. You are never in a hurry, yet you are never late. You move with perfect precision, turning seasons at the right time and hearts at the right moment. When I rush, I lose sight of wonder, but when I wait, I notice the beauty in small beginnings, the quiet miracles that only reveal themselves to patient eyes. Father, I want to be patient not because life demands it, but because love requires it. Patience is the heartbeat of mercy, the willingness to stay when it is easier to leave, to listen when it is easier to speak, to trust when it is easier to fear. It is the strength to endure without resentment, and the grace to remain kind even when misunderstood. Teach me that patience is not passive. It is active faith in motion. Every time I choose patience, I am declaring that you are still in control, that your promises are worth waiting for, and that peace is stronger than panic. Lord, patience transforms how I see time itself. The world calls waiting a delay, but you call it preparation. Each day I wait is another day to grow, to learn, to draw nearer to you. The waiting season is never empty, it is full of quiet purpose. When my spirit grows restless, let me look to the creation around me. The sun rises without haste, the river flows without hurry, and the trees grow silently yet surely. Everything in nature reflects your patience, and in that reflection I see your wisdom. Let my life mirror that same divine rhythm, a slow, steady unfolding in your perfect will. God, give me the wisdom to know when to wait and when to move. Patience is not inaction. It is discernment. It listens before it speaks, observes before it decides, and prays before it acts. I do not want to confuse delay with apathy or slowness with fear. Teach me to wait with purpose, to rest with readiness, and to trust that movement will come when the time is right. When the door is meant to open, I will walk through it without striving, because patience will have already prepared my heart for what awaits beyond it. Father, as this day begins, let patience guide my every step. When plans change, let me respond with peace. When others falter, let me respond with grace. When progress feels slow, let me remember that every season has its reason. Patience is not about the length of the wait, but the posture of the heart within it. Let mine remain steadfast, gentle, and full of faith, for in patience I find wisdom. In wisdom I find peace, and in peace I find you always faithful, always near, always right on time. Lord, as patience steadies my heart and teaches me the art of stillness, I feel you leading me toward something, even deeper trust. Patience prepares the soil, but trust plants the seed. Trust is the bridge between faith and peace. The quiet courage to rest in your will when my understanding fails. Father, I have learned that patience waits, but trust releases. It lets go not only of control, but also of the need to know. It is the freedom to walk in the dark with confidence that the hand guiding me is steady, strong, and good. Father, trusting you is not always easy. My human heart wants certainty. My mind craves answers, and my fears whisper that I am alone. Yet again and again, you invite me to lean not on my logic, but on your love. Trust does not mean ignoring reality. It means believing there is a greater one. It means knowing that beyond what I see is a story being written with care, with purpose, with compassion. You are the author who never loses the plot, the shepherd who never loses a sheep, the father who never forgets a child. Teach me to rest in that truth until it becomes my reflex, not my effort. God, there were seasons when I thought trust meant everything would go my way, but I understand now that trust is not in outcomes. It is in you. It is not built on what you do, but on who you are. even when the path bends, even when prayers seem unanswered. Trust whispers, "He is still good." When I can trace your hand, I can still trust your heart. The unknown is no longer a threat, it is a space where faith can breathe. In trust, I do not need to have control. I only need to have connection. Lord, trust changes how I carry uncertainty. Fear tightens my grip, but trust opens my hands. Fear tries to predict the future, but trust stays present in the now. When I trust, I can release the need to rush or resist, for I know that every step forward is guided. Even when I cannot see the full map, I can follow the next light you give. You are the God of each small step, the one who turns detours into destiny. Let me find peace not because I know the road, but because I know the guide. Father, I want to live a life that breathes trust not as a single prayer, but as a daily rhythm. Trust is not passive. It is active surrender. It is choosing to show up with courage even when the outcome is unclear. It is smiling through confusion, standing firm in storms, and believing that even in silence, you are speaking. Trust transforms fear into faith and hesitation into hope. It teaches me that I do not need to understand everything to experience peace. I only need to believe that you do. God, there are times when trust feels like falling, like stepping into the air without knowing where my feet will land. But every time I have fallen into your grace, I have never hit the ground. You have always caught me, always held me, always carried me through. Even when I doubted, you remained faithful. Even when I questioned, you kept guiding. The freedom of trust is found not in certainty, but in surrender, the deep assurance that no matter what happens, I am safe in your will. Lord, remind me that trust is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear make decisions for me. It is the calm voice that says, I will keep walking, even when trembling. It is faith stretched across time and tension, love stretched across pain and patience. When I choose trust, I choose freedom from the burden of control. You did not create me to carry every weight, to solve every problem, or to predict every outcome. You created me to rest in your plan, to believe that your wisdom exceeds my worry, that your timing heals what haste cannot. Father, sometimes trust requires me to let go what I love most. It asks for open hands when my heart wants to hold tight. But I know that whatever I release into your care is never truly lost, it is transformed. You are the keeper of all things sacred, the restorer of all things broken. What you ask me to surrender, you intend to redeem. Let me trust that even the losses have lessons. Even the endings have beginnings. And even the waiting has meaning. My story is safest when written by you. God, I do not want a trust that flickers in comfort and fades in challenge. I want a trust that endures anchored deep, unshaken by storms. The kind of trust that looks at chaos and still whispers, "It is well." The kind that faces impossibility and still believes He can. The kind that does not demand proof, but rests in presence. Trust is the highest form of worship because it is love without condition. It says, even if nothing changes, I will still believe you are good. That kind of trust makes me free, not from trouble, but from fear of it. Lord, as the morning light begins to rise, I offer this day to you in full trust. I will not lean on my limited understanding or let anxiety dictate my steps. Instead, I will move at the pace of your peace. Trust will be the song beneath my breath, the rhythm of my heart, the anchor of my soul. I do not need to see the whole picture. I only need to walk with you through each piece. For trust is not the end of faith, it is its purest form. And when I live in trust, I live in freedom, because nothing is more liberating than knowing that my life rests securely in the hands of an unchanging God. Father, as trust deepens its roots within my spirit, I feel you gently leading me toward a new path of obedience, not as burden, but as joy. For too long, I associated obedience with duty, with obligation, with fear of consequence. But now I begin to understand that true obedience is not driven by fear, but drawn by love. It is not the posture of a slave, but the delight of a child who knows the one giving instruction is wise, good, and always kind. Obedience is not about loss of freedom. It is the discovery of it. When I follow you, I do not forfeit joy, I find the fullest expression of it. Lord, I confess that obedience has not always been easy. There were moments when I questioned, moments when I hesitated, moments when my heart was willing, but my feet faltered. Sometimes your path leads through unfamiliar places, asking me to trust what I cannot see, to act before I understand. But you never command without compassion, never call without preparing. You walk with me in every yes, and even when I stumble, you do not shame me, you simply reach for my hand again and whisper, "Follow me." That is the beauty of your love. It is patient, it is personal, and it transforms every step of obedience into worship. God, teach me to obey with joy, not reluctant compliance, but wholehearted surrender. Let my response to your voice be immediate, not delayed by fear or analysis. Your commands are not chains, they are invitations. Each one carries the weight of your wisdom and the warmth of your love. When you ask me to forgive, it is not to weaken me, but to free me. When you ask me to speak truth, it is not to expose, but to heal. When you ask me to let go, it is not to deprive, but to multiply. Obedience is not about perfection, it is about connection. It keeps me close to you, aligned with your will, and attuned to your heart. Father, I long to walk in obedience that is steady in silence, faithful in waiting, and courageous in action. Help me to obey even when no one is watching, even when it costs me comfort, even when the reward is not immediate. You see in secret, and you honor what is hidden. Let obedience become the quiet rhythm of my life, the yes that is whispered in prayer, the no that honors integrity, the daily decisions that echo eternity. Small obediences build holy character. They prepare me to carry more, to love deeper, to serve truer. Lord, sometimes obedience asks me to move when I would rather stay, to speak when I would rather be silent, or to yield when I would rather be right. In those moments, remind me that obedience is not about control, it is about trust. It is not about understanding every detail. It is about knowing the one who holds every detail. Even when I cannot see the full purpose, I choose to obey because I believe you never waste obedience. Every yes to you becomes a seed that bears fruit in your time, in your way, and always for my good. God, let my obedience be marked by joy, not the kind that is loud or boastful, but the kind that is steady and content. Joy that comes from walking in harmony with you. Joy that sees beyond the sacrifice and into the promise. Joy that does not depend on how easy the path is, but on how close you are along the way. Your joy is my strength, and in obedience, I draw from that strength. Obedience is not about following rules, it is about following you, step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat. Father, help me to teach my heart to delight in what you command, not because I must, but because I may. It is a privilege to walk with you, to hear your voice, to be shaped by your truth. Obedience does not diminish me, it refines me. It removes the noise, clears the clutter, and makes room for the fullness of who you designed me to be. As I say yes to your voice, I become more fully myself, not the version I try to build on my own, but the one you lovingly envisioned before I ever took a breath. Lord, I ask that obedience become a shield around me. When temptation comes, let obedience guard my mind. When distraction knocks, let obedience anchor my focus. When fear whispers, let obedience speak louder with the memory of all the times you have led me faithfully before. Let my obedience not be reactive, but proactive, a heart that is always inclined toward your ways, even before the decision arrives. Let me live with such intimacy with you that obedience is no longer a choice I must weigh, but a response that flows naturally from love. God, remind me that obedience is the birthplace of transformation. Each time I respond to you, something within me shifts. Pride gives way to humility. Resistance gives way to rest. Chaos gives way to clarity. Obedience opens the door to blessing, not always in the way the world defines it, but in the deeper way heaven measures it. Peace that cannot be stolen, wisdom that cannot be shaken, and joy that cannot be explained. There is no safer place to live than in the center of your will. Father, as the light of morning stretches across the horizon, I rise not with obligation, but with anticipation. Today is another chance to walk in step with you, to choose what is right even when it is hard, to answer your voice with gladness. Let obedience be the melody beneath every movement, the quiet courage behind every decision, the sacred echo of a life lived not for self, but for the one who gave all. And as I follow you today, may I find that every act of obedience, no matter how small, becomes a doorway into deeper joy and fuller freedom, because it brings me one step closer to your heart. Lord, as obedience begins to shape the rhythm of my walk with you, I feel you whispering something even more delicate, something deep within, hidden beneath actions and words, the purity of intentions. Father, you care not only about what I do, but why I do it. You search the unseen places of my heart, the quiet motives behind the loudest deeds. While the world may celebrate outcomes, you weigh the intent. And so I come to you not only with open hands, but with an open heart, asking you to examine my desires, to purify my motives, and to align my intentions with your truth. Father, I confess how easily intentions can become tangled. What begins in love can turn toward pride. What starts in faith can drift toward fear. Sometimes I serve to be seen, speak to be affirmed, give to feel worthy, but you call me back to simplicity. You remind me that the purest offering is one done for you alone, with no audience but heaven, no reward but closeness, no goal but love. Strip away the layers of self-interest and ego. Refine my heart until what remains is honest, unpolluted, and free. Not perfect, but real. Not polished, but surrendered. God, when my intentions wander, bring them gently home. I am prone to measure myself by others, to seek approval where only peace is needed. I chase affirmation, even while declaring that your opinion is enough. You do not condemn my weakness. Instead, you invite me to return to let you recenter me in grace. Teach me to be aware of what drives me. Let my yes come from love, not pressure. Let my compassion come from empathy, not obligation. Let my faithfulness come from trust, not fear. May every motivation be soaked in truth, born from love, and shaped by eternity. Lord, intentions are sacred seeds. They are invisible to others, but visible to you. A quiet act done in secret. A kind thought never spoken. A prayer whispered for a stranger. These are the treasures that echo in heaven. I want to live a life that honors you not just in action, but in essence. Let my choices be rooted in purity, not pretense. Let me love because you first loved me. Serve because you served me. Give because you gave everything for me. When I choose what is right, let it not be for applause, but for alignment with your heart. Father, I ask for the courage to be honest with myself. Reveal to me where pride hides in generosity, where insecurity hides in ambition, where fear hides in performance. You do not expose to shame. You reveal to heal. Search my heart, test my thoughts, and show me any way that leads me away from you. Give me the humility to change when you correct me, and the wisdom to discern when my desires need redirection. Shape my ambitions into assignments, my longings into prayers, my motives into mirrors that reflect only your glory. God, I know that intentions cannot be purified apart from presence. I must stay close to you if I want to live true. The more time I spend with you, the more my heart softens, realigns, and quiets. In the stillness, my selfishness fades. In your light, my hidden motives rise to the surface and melt into grace. Let me not be afraid of this refining. Let me welcome it. I do not want to appear holy. I want to be whole. I do not want the illusion of virtue. I want the reality of transformation. And I know that begins with clean intentions. Lord, purify not only my goals, but also my reactions. When I am challenged, let my response be rooted in peace, not pride. When I am overlooked, let my worth remain unmoved. When I am celebrated, let my heart remain humble. Every moment is a test of intention, not just what I do, but how I hold what happens. Teach me that I do not need to defend myself when I walk in truth, and I do not need to prove myself when I walk in purpose. Integrity is a quiet strength that speaks loudest when words are few. Father, let my relationships be guided by pure intentions. In love, let there be no manipulation. In friendship, no flattery. In service, no selfish gain. Teach me to love without hooks, to bless without agenda, to give without keeping score. Let my kindness be consistent, not selective. Let my loyalty be rooted, not reactive. When I speak, let it be with clarity and care. When I remain silent, let it be with peace, not resentment. Purity of intention allows connection to flourish, because it is built on trust, not transaction. God, when I grow weary of doing good, remind me that you see what no one else sees. Every act done in love, though overlooked by the world, is honored by heaven. Let that be enough. Let the quiet satisfaction of pleasing you outweigh the need for recognition. And when my motives grow cloudy, draw me close again back to the place where obedience flows naturally from love, where purpose is not performance but presence, where my soul is more concerned with being true than appearing perfect. Lord, as this day opens before me, I ask that every choice, every word, every gesture be rooted in sincerity. Let my intentions be clear like morning light, steady like your mercy, and aligned with heaven's melody. May my heart beat with integrity, and may my life be a reflection not just of what I do, but of why I do it. You are not seeking actors, you are shaping sons and daughters. So shape me today, not just my habits, but my heart, not just my direction, but my desire. Let the purity of my intentions become the fragrance of my worship, rising unseen but unforgettable before you. Father, as you purify my intentions and shape them into offerings of quiet devotion, I sense you drawing me deeper still into the sacred discipline of faithfulness. Not the kind that sways with feelings, but the kind that stands when no one is watching. Faithfulness is not loud. It rarely draws applause. It often goes unnoticed in a world obsessed with novelty and speed. Yet in your eyes, it is precious. It is holy. You are not looking for brilliance. Lord, you are looking for hearts that stay. And I want to be one of them. Not just faithful in the big moments, but in the smallest, most hidden ones. Lord, I admit that consistency does not come easily. I am quick to start and slow to sustain. I chase passion, but sometimes neglect persistence. Yet you are never inconsistent with me. Your mercy is renewed every morning. Your presence never withdraws. Your promises never fade. If you, the King of all creation, remain faithful to me without fail, how could I give you anything less than steady surrender? Teach me that faithfulness is not about perfection, it is about showing up again and again with a willing heart, even when I am tired, even when it is hard, even when the results seem small. God, help me to value long obedience in the same direction. While the world exalts quick success, you honor the slow path, the one paved by daily surrender. Quiet obedience and love without condition. Let me find beauty in repetition, holiness in habit. It is easy to pray once in desperation, but it is divine to keep praying in seasons of silence. It is easy to give when it feels good, but sacred to give when it costs. Let my consistency become worship. Let my ordinary days build extraordinary trust in you. Father, remind me that faithfulness begins in the unseen. It begins in my thoughts, my tone, my choices when no one is looking. It is in how I speak when I am alone. It is in how I respond when no credit will be given. It is in how I carry responsibility, not for recognition, but for love. Make me faithful in character before I am ever trusted with calling. Let my private life carry the same integrity as my public one. I want to be trusted not just with platforms, but with people's hearts, with your truth, with the moments that matter most. Lord, faithfulness is love that stays when it has every reason to walk away. It is kindness that continues after it has been taken for granted. It is service that shows up when no one claps. You were faithful to the cross, faithful through betrayal, rejection, silence, and in your faithfulness, salvation was born. Teach me that faithfulness is not just about what I do. It is about who I become. Shape in me a spirit that is steady, trustworthy, patient, not perfect, but present, not flawless, but full of grace. God, let me be faithful in relationships. In a world that trades loyalty for convenience, let me be the kind of friend who stays when promises become difficult, when emotions fade, when misunderstandings arise. Let me not retreat. Let me love with consistency, speak with truth, and forgive with endurance. Let my word be my bond, my presence be reliable, and my heart be dependable. I want to reflect the kind of love that does not flinch in the face of conflict, that endures offense with grace, that builds trust over time. Father, show me how to be faithful in the calling you have entrusted to me. Whether it is raising a child, writing a word, loving a spouse, building a ministry, or simply offering encouragement to someone in need, let me not despise the size or season. There is no calling too small when it is done with great love. You reward faithfulness, not fame. Let me not measure my impact by results, but by obedience. And when I feel unseen or overlooked, remind me that nothing done in your name ever goes unnoticed. You see it all, and you smile over it all. Lord, when discouragement creeps in and I feel like giving up, be the voice that reminds me why I started. Whisper again the promises you spoke in the quiet. Strengthen my hands to keep building, my feet to keep walking, my heart to keep believing. Let perseverance be more than endurance. Let it be a testimony, a quiet declaration that you are worth every effort, every step, every tear. Faithfulness is the soil where miracles grow. Let me keep sowing, even when the ground looks barren. The harvest is yours. My role is to keep tending. God, help me to be faithful in rest. Teach me that pausing is not quitting. Teach me to honor my limits without guilt. Sometimes, faithfulness means laying it down for a season, so you can do what I cannot. Let me know when to press on and when to release, when to speak and when to be silent, when to move and when to be still. Even rest can be holy when it is done in trust. You are not in a hurry, so I do not need to be. My value is not in how much I do, but in how closely I walk with you. Father, as this day unfolds, let me walk faithfully, moment by moment. Let my yes be yes. Let my feet follow through. Let my heart remain steadfast, even in the ordinary. I do not need the spotlight, I only need your smile. I do not need perfection, I only need your presence. Let my legacy be built not on flashes of greatness, but on years of faithfulness. For in the end, what matters most is not how high I climbed, but how deeply I loved, how consistently I followed, how faithfully I lived in quiet devotion to you, the one who has never once failed me. Father, as faithfulness takes its full shape within me, you begin to lift my eyes beyond today, beyond the routine, the duty, the rhythm, and invite me to consider something deeper. Legacy, not the kind etched in stone or praised in public, but the quiet kind, the one written in the lives I touch, in the hearts I shape, in the moments no one but you ever sees. Love is the truest legacy, not what I accumulate, but what I give, not what I build for myself, but what I leave behind in others. And so today, Lord, I ask you to teach me how to live in such a way that love becomes my trail, my testimony, my lasting imprint. God, I used to think legacy was a monument, something achieved at the end of life, but now I see it as a daily decision. It is how I treat the stranger, how I listen when I am tired, how I speak when no one's watching. Every word, every action, every silence even, sows something into the soil of someone else's soul. Let me plant love, not just the kind that feels warm, but the kind that costs something, the kind that forgives, the kind that waits, the kind that speaks truth gently and stays through storms patiently. Let my days become chapters in someone else's healing story. Let my life preach a sermon my lips never speak. Lord, I know love is more than emotion. It is action, intention, presence. Love is when I stop to see the hurting. Love is when I pause to affirm the unseen. Love is when I say you matter not just with words, but with time, with consistency, with gentleness. Let me love without measuring, without rehearsing what I will receive in return. Let my heart not grow weary in doing good, even when it goes unnoticed. For what is done in love is never wasted. Even the smallest act echoes in eternity. And you, Lord, see every echo. Father, I want to love beyond comfort, beyond what is easy, beyond what is familiar. Help me love those who challenge me, not because I agree with them, but because I see them the way you do. Help me love without needing to fix, without needing to be right, without needing to be thanked. Help me love when I have little left to give. Teach me that when I give love, I do not empty, I expand. For love is not a resource I lose. It is a river that flows more freely the more it is poured out. And the more I love like you, the more I become like you. God, show me how to love in my legacy as a parent, as a spouse, as a friend, as a stranger walking through someone else's moment. Let my children remember not just my rules, but my grace. Let my partner feel not just my promises, but my patience. Let my friends find refuge in my honesty and safety in my presence. And let the people I barely know still feel the warmth of a soul who saw them, who blessed them, who paused for them. A life poured out in love will outlive accolades. It becomes shelter long after the giver is gone. Lord, protect me from the temptation to replace love with ambition, Let my desire to impact never outpace my commitment to care. Let me never sacrifice people on the altar of productivity. What does it matter if I reach the world but wound those closest to me? What does it mean if I build platforms but fail to build trust? Success without love is hollow. Influence without love is dangerous. But love, real love, is the only thing that remains when all else fades. Let me build my life on that truth. Father, love also means loving myself rightly, not pridefully, not selfishly, but honestly. Let me honor the sacred life you gave me by resting when I need rest, by forgiving myself when I fall, by nurturing the light you placed within me. When I care for my own soul, I become more whole, more present, more capable of loving others well. Teach me that denying myself is not the same as despising myself. Let my self-love be rooted in humility and clarity. I am yours, and therefore I matter not more than others, but never less. God, let love define how I face adversity. Let me not grow bitter, but better. Let me respond to pain with softness, not hardness. Let me love not just when it is easy, but when it costs me pride, when it asks me to stay, when it dares me to open my heart again after it has been bruised. The world does not need more perfect people. It needs more people willing to love anyway, to love again, to love louder. Let me be one of them, Lord. As I draw nearer to the close of this long conversation with you, I begin to see the thread that runs through every chapter. Every prayer, every surrender, it is love. Love is the beginning and the end of all things in you. It is what sent you to us, what keeps you with us, what will one day call us home. Let everything I leave behind be wrapped in that truth. Not that I was always strong, but that I was always willing to love. Not that I did it all right, but that I chose love every time it mattered most. Father, as the sun rises once more and this day stretches before me, let it be another page in a legacy not built by hands, but shaped by heart. Let my footsteps trace kindness. Let my words plant seeds of healing. Let my presence echo peace. May I not chase greatness, but carry goodness. And when I am gone, may the people I touched remember not the things I owned, not the titles I carried, but the love I gave freely, faithfully, and fully, because I walked each day with you. Father, as this prayer draws near its final breath, I do not feel an ending, but a beginning unfolding slowly like petals in the morning light. What began in desperation has moved through valleys of trust, oceans of surrender, mountains of renewal, and now finds itself here in quiet gratitude, with a heart both full and humbled. This journey was never meant to be a straight line or a checklist. It was always a conversation, a gentle unfolding, a return. And as I reflect on each moment we have walked through together, I realize something sacred. You were never far. Not once. You have been here the whole time. Lord, if this prayer has shown me anything, it is that grace never runs out. Not for the broken, not for the tired, not even for the stubborn. Each chapter whispered that truth in a different tone. Whether I was crying out in weakness or dancing in freedom, you met me where I was. You reminded me that I do not need to arrive somewhere perfect to be loved. I only need to be present. And in that presence, you do the work. You shape. You soften. You strengthen. You surround. This has not just been a journey of words, it has been a reintroduction to your mercy that meets me in every breath. God, I once thought I had to climb my way toward holiness, that I had to carry myself to you, but now I know you have been walking toward me all along. You are not at the finish line, you are in the footsteps. You are in the slow mornings, in the whispered prayers, in the silent car rides, in the battles no one else sees. You are in the failures that feel final, in the laughter that heals, in the forgiveness that frees. Every part of my journey is wrapped in your presence. You are not the reward at the end, you are the companion along the way. Father, I see now that this conversation with you does not close with a final word. It stretches into the next moment, and the one after that, into every ordinary morning, when I open my eyes and choose once again to believe. Into every weary night, when I lay down my burdens and trust you will still be there when the sun rises. Prayer is not an escape from life, it is the anchor in it. It is not something I finish. It is something I return to over and over, like waves lapping at the same shore, like lungs remembering how to breathe. Lord, I do not know what tomorrow will hold, but I do know this: I will never again walk into a day thinking I am alone. I will not measure the worth of my journey by how fast I go or how strong I feel. I will measure it by one thing alone: how near I stay to you. And even when I stray, I now carry the assurance that you will come find me again, not with anger, not with shame, but with the same voice that has spoken throughout this prayer: gentle, loving, unwavering. God, for the one listening now, who has made it through every chapter, who has shown up again and again with an open heart, I offer a prayer of thanks. They have walked this path not perfectly, but honestly, and that is all you ever asked. Bless them in the still places where they wonder if change is really possible. Remind them that it is, that transformation is not always loud, it is often quiet, invisible, rooted in tiny decisions no one else notices, but you notice. You see their courage, their surrender, their longing, and you honor it. Father, I pray this final chapter lingers with them, not as a conclusion, but as a soft echo that follows them into today. Let them carry the truths they have found here into their conversations, their choices, their rest, their relationships. Let love lead, let peace anchor, let patience breathe, let surrender lighten, let hope rise, let joy return, let trust endure, and let their heart remain open not only to you, but to themselves, and to the world you so deeply love through them. Lord, if they ever forget how to begin again, remind them that prayer does not require a perfect starting place. It begins wherever they are, with a sigh, a silence, a whispered name. You are not waiting for the right words. You are simply waiting for the heart. Let this be the reminder they hold when life grows heavy. The way back is never far. It is as close as the next breath, the next still moment, the next time they choose to believe again. God, I do not know how many chapters their journey still holds, but I know this: you will walk every single one of them. And for as long as they are willing to come back to you, you will keep writing beauty out of brokenness, healing out of wounds, and purpose out of pain. There is no detour that disqualifies them, no silence that separates them, no failure that finalizes them. You are the God of returns, of redemption, of renewal, and that story will never stop unfolding. So now, as this prayer pauses, not ends, I simply imagine them standing in the light of a brand new morning. Perhaps the sky is soft with mist. Perhaps a breeze stirs gently through the trees. Perhaps all is still, or perhaps life is still messy, uncertain, wild. Either way, your presence is here. The invitation to walk together again is here. And grace, like sunlight through leaves, warms their face with a quiet reminder. This is just the beginning. To the one who stayed until now, thank you. Thank you for taking this journey, not with me, but with your own heart wide open. May it have brought you closer to yourself, and even closer to the God who never left. If this prayer has spoken to you, I invite you to share your thoughts, your story, or even your own prayer in the comments below. Let this space become sacred ground for others to be encouraged. And if this journey has nourished your spirit, please subscribe to the channel. Share this video with someone who needs it, and return often. Faith is not a moment, it is a rhythm. Keep coming back. Keep choosing to believe. Keep walking in grace. Just like the soft wind that brushes across the morning fields without needing to be seen. Just like the first golden rays of light warming the quiet earth. His love moves toward you now, always gentle, always near, always enough.